You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey, Bold and the Beautiful fans. Well, Brooke Logan does something Ridge Forrester sees as a huge betrayal, and it looks like it's going to push him back into Taylor Hayes' waiting arms. This is from a recent interview with actor Thorsten Kaye. It's Belinda from Soap Dirt, and before we dive into what he said that was so interesting, about how Brooke angers Ridge and why he turns to Taylor, please click subscribe if you're not following us. All right, let's get into it. So this week we have seen and heard Ridge getting more and more hostile about Hope Logan. He bashed her verbally right to her face, and then he was also raging about her to her mom, Brooke Logan. And as far as Ridge is concerned, Hope is the root of all evil with this coup. Ridge unloaded and said Carter would have stayed loyal if not for Hope's influence. There's an argument to be made about that. I think Ridge is kind of being extra insulting, but I do think a lot of the things he's saying are pretty accurate. And Ridge thinks that Hope used Carter and Liam and Thomas. Now, I don't agree about all that, I think to some extent she used Thomas, but he was more than willing. Liam, no, that's just wildly off the mark. Carter, well, we'll see. So Brooke has a totally different take on all this. And of course, she blames Steffy, which Ridge finds absolutely outrageous and just inaccurate. When Brooke brought up the mistaken identity thing with the lingerie in the design office and saying that, Steffy fired her under false pretenses, Ridge said that's a non-issue. He said because Hope had already targeted Finn before, which we all saw, and Hope for the Future was doing badly. And even if Hope hadn't been fired before, then her participating in this coup with Carter was still absolutely unforgivable. That's the word Ridge used. So as far as he sees it, there's many reasons that Hope could and should have been fired, right? So he doesn't think that her being fired is wrong. And Brooke sees clearly that if the Forresters get back control of the company, both Carter and Hope are likely going to be fired. Maybe Carter could manage to get an offer to stay. I don't think so at this point, but before the big showdown, he might have survived it, even once everything all came out. But Hope, she's going to be out on her ear the second any Forrester is sitting in that boss chair again. So that's the situation we saw on that recent episode of Bold and the Beautiful. Brooke said Hope has gotten nothing but constant disrespect from Steffy, and that Hope and Carter had to take over the company to silence Steffy once and for all. Those were Brooke's words, and Ridge was upset, and then he flipped it around and said he's tired of Hope attacking his family, and told Brooke that he'll stop Hope once and for all. So very harsh words in both directions, and definitely Brooke and Ridge seem to be in an impasse, but it's clear that Hope and Carter's actions are despised by Ridge, but to some extent, Brooke sees them as justified. She's kind of getting past the point of they did wrong and is now coming around to they simply had no choice. Because I guess Carter and Hope couldn't leave and get another job, couldn't start their own company or do something that didn't involve corporate fraud. This is all about to get even messier. And then in this new interview with TV Insider, Ridge Forrester actor Thorsten Kaye dropped some big bombshells. He said something happens soon that has Ridge feeling like Brooke betrayed him and that he has never known her at all. So I would have to guess that it stems from her anger at Ridge blaming Hope and the way he's talking to her that has Brooke maybe rethinking her loyalties. While the Forresters are on strike, refusing to work for Carter's, fraudulent regime, Brooke may betray the Forresters and go back to FC. It would certainly help legitimize Carter's new reign as CEO if he had Brooke's support, and that would definitely be something Ridge would consider a huge betrayal. And so would Eric Forrester. And I expect that Steffy would say that it doesn't surprise her at all because, she's always anti-Logan, anti-Brooke. But this is going to lead to more problems because he said in the interview that Ridge goes sniffing around Taylor Hayes in the aftermath of all this. And he said that is what pushes Brooke over the edge. Thorsten said Brooke stuck by Ridge even after he insulted her daughter, and she stood by him and stands by him until she can't anymore. And he says that when Brooke can no longer stand by Ridge, it has a lot to do with Taylor. And Thorsten also said that Ridge getting back with Taylor is a real possibility at this upcoming moment in this storyline. And Thorsten also said Taylor doesn't want anything from Ridge except for him to be happy with her. And so that's very appealing. I mean, I can see the appeal. To be with Brooke, especially after she betrays him, that means Ridge is willing to let Hope get away with what he thinks she's done. And honestly, what we've seen her do, which is helping steal his company. If Brooke does stick with Forrester Creations, even though the Forresters are out, that is the kind of betrayal I would expect Ridge to run to Taylor about. But if you are a fan of Brooke and Ridge and believe in their destiny, well, there's still a chance for them. The actor said, even if Taylor and Ridge get close again, which sounds like it's going to happen, that doesn't mean Brooke and Ridge are done. He said Brooke and Ridge definitely love one another, but that's not the issue right now. It's about loyalty. It's about refusing to recognize that what Hope and Carter did can't be justified no matter what. The Ridge actor also said that Taylor is always honest with Ridge and has kids with just him, while Brooke has kids with his brother and dad. So he says that Ridge may question if Taylor was always the right choice all along. That's always what Steffy has said, but he has silenced her and said, stop it. Maybe he's going to listen. So as we left things on an episode on Thursday, December 12th, Carter and Hope were trying to lure Steffy Forrester into staying at the company and again being the lead designer on Hope for the Future that Carter has just rebooted right after he pulled the shady takeover. And Zende's torn because he's a Forrester and he said that Hope and Carter just stole the Forresters' company and he's one of them. And that's his family legacy too. I kind of want Zende to walk away and stick with the other Forresters, but he may not. By the end of this week or early next week, Hope may be surprised to see Mama Brooke back up at the company saying she's not happy with what they did, but she understands why they felt they had to do it. And just maybe Brooke's going to just go back to work for Carter. That would definitely be a big slap in Ridge Forrester's face. That is a betrayal, and we're keeping an eye out for this big betrayal that sends Ridge running to Taylor. Meanwhile, I expect Steffy to head home and talk all this through with Taylor, so she'll be all filled in on the betrayal and the coup when Ridge comes knocking on the door looking for some comfort after Brooke betrays him. And of course, he remains certain that Hope is the real culprit behind the coup. And I'm guessing Taylor will welcome Ridge with open arms, like always.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.